This is. I'm just starting again because of the recording. So the. I'm going to tell you about why I am concerned about how to become a green consumer. This is a photograph taken this summer of a few of us, mostly ACA members, at a stall jointly with NESCAN, trying to talk to the public about climate change, raising awareness and giving people advice. So it is something that I've been doing for 5 years as become an active member of Aberdeen Climate Action. And I just want to point it out to you. I could try with my clicker, my pointer, but that's not going to work for the people online. Behind my shoulder, you can tell which is me, by the way, because I've got the ACA t-shirt on, but behind my shoulder, behind the little cow, is a poster I made about 4 years ago. And that is things that I do to be a greener person. So I'm going to come to that. The reason I joined ACA really is because I was forced, because of my job. I'm a professor of rice genetics at the University of Aberdeen, and I was forced through my job and my interaction with both academics and actual farmers in different countries to profoundly appreciate the terrible impact that climate change is going to have on agriculture, and especially, for example, on the lives of these young people in Bangladesh who, if the World Health Organization are right, 1/3 of their country will be underwater by 2090. 1/3 of their country. So I felt morally obliged to do something about my carbon footprint and to campaign to get everybody's carbon footprint down. So I have become a member of Aberdeen Climate Action, and I do go on stalls and I organise things like this. That's the poster that I produced, which describes several of the things that I have done in my personal lifestyle, a bit like Rachel Oliver, and some of those things nothing like as impressive as Rachel. I still have a car. Actually, my car is now an electric car, but I know that's not the solution to everything. We should use cars less. But there's loads of things I do about my house, the way I travel, loads of other things I do. I'm not a saint. I do some bad things, like I visit my brother in Australia because I have an identical twin brother who was at the last Clappy. He lives in Australia, and I'm not going to cycle there, so I'm going to fly occasionally. But I have, and I guess that anybody in this room, anybody online who has a concern about climate change has loads of ideas about what could be done to improve our personal carbon footprint. I don't think I've got 1,000 ideas, but I'm sure I've got 100. I have never written them down, and I really think I should. But always on the top of my list has been, let people know the carbon cost of consuming. It's not something that's just come to me, because you say on that poster, what would help me do better? The very first thing I put is carbon labelling on products. So it's easy to choose based on carbon footprint. So it's amazing, really, if you start to look at the numbers, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but I just want to give you a quick anecdote. Because I've never really campaigned about this, but I feel maybe we're being a bit slow to campaign on this. I was invited by the Royal Society to a meeting in London, which is about the sustainability of water use in the UK, domestic and agriculture. And I sat next to someone from Tesco's, who was very, very high up in Tesco's, and I was saying about this to them 12 years ago. I said, I can't really understand why we don't label stuff in the supermarkets. And she said to me, we were doing that. Tesco's did that. They put the carbon cost on their products 12 years ago, and they stopped doing it because they said the customers were not interested. So it's not because they can't do it, it's because they believe that the customer is not interested. And I'm very much hoping that the talks we're going to hear later are going to address some of those issues. But just to give you some numbers, on that, nowadays when we go onto our stores, which I've done 4 times, we take this game with us, which is brilliant for engaging the public. And it's called How Bad Are Bananas, by a guy who's pretty famous for making this book, right? Tim Berners-Lee. And the book tells you what the carbon cost of lots of things. The game gets people to play it. So you try and pair things up. But here you are, 1 kilogram of vine cherry tomatoes, 20 kilos of CO2 per kilogram, more than grapes. So I can't. Yes, just to put that into perspective, this is I've just taken this off the BBC website. This shows you the carbon footprint of 250 grams of asparagus grown locally in the UK in season, 270 grams of CO2. If it's flown in from Peru, it's 4.7. The point I want to make is that we can guess that is the case, but we do not have the time every time we go to the supermarket to find out what the actual number is. So I feel it's really, really important that when we go as a consumer to buy something, we actually get informed. What's quite nice is that some companies are doing that. So I think, oh, that was my last slide. I thought I had a picture of Nando's. I don't know if you've ever seen Nando's. They have a poster in the window from 2019 saying that they are going to reduce to 0 carbon by 2019. So some food companies are doing it, and Brewdog, for example, they put it on when you go to the restaurant, you've got the carbon footprint. But it's so little. There is so little labelling, and for me, this is one of the big issues. I think the consumer needs to know the carbon footprint. And the thing I'm thinking of, in my mind, is this: I go to Sainsbury's, and occasionally I want a yogurt. I want to know at all those different yogurts which one is the best for the environment, because I will buy that one, and I'm hoping a lot of you will buy that one. And when we start buying that one, they'll all start making it with less carbon. So we have to. I feel we have to do it. So I've been a bit preachy about this, but it is something I feel quite passionately about. And I will end there, and we will let David take over when the recording starts.